Hey LEGO fans, and welcome back to MB Bricks. Today I have a new LEGO tutorial for you since it's been a while since I did the last one. If you want me to do more of these videos, be sure to drop a like or a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos posted on Fridays. Now, before I get into this tutorial, just know that this is very parts intensive, so be sure to note which ones are necessary and stock up before you start your project. I will be showing you guys a few different styles and ways to cut back on the parts a bit if you need to. As always, feel free to modify any part of this tutorial as it is a guideline only and is meant to inspire your creative mind. A second thing to note is this building can be very fragile while you're building it, but it will be fairly solid once it's complete. So take your time and be gentle with it until you've been able to support it. Lastly, I want to be sure to recognize Luke Watkins Hutchinson as the inspiration for this style of building. I originally saw his posts on Eurobricks many years ago, and he is widely recognized in the Castle Building Society as being one of the best. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this tutorial. Alrighty, so we're going to get started with the base. Now you're going to want some of these hinge pieces. I chose dark bluish gray, sorry, because I have a lot of them and I will be creating a stone tower today. So that's why I've gone with the dark gray. As always, choose whatever colors you desire. And the bigger you go with your design, the more flawless the end result will look. But it all depends on how many parts you have and what you're really designing. I mean, if you're doing a tower, yeah, maybe it'll be a bit bigger, but maybe you're just doing a round water well, and then in that case it'd be very small. So you can use this technique in many different ways. You just got to get creative with it. So now we have our base, and it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty flimsy. It moves around a lot. So you're going to want to support it with a long plate. This one I'm going to run underneath, and you want to have it protrude a bit on each end, and I will show you why in just a minute. So now you have your base, but it's still a little flimsy on the outside, which is okay. We're gonna add another plate. So we're gonna bring this plate up to the level of these hinge pieces. Then you want one of these swivel plates right in the middle there, and then one more plate. And it doesn't really matter where this one goes, but you just want to get it to one of these other points. So I think we're going to go with that one. Figure it out in the middle here. And you want to use a swivel plate because then you can move it to the right angle. Once you attach those, all of a sudden this becomes a lot more sturdy. And I mean, it does wiggle a little bit, but not a lot, which is fantastic. So now you want to finish around this outside. So if you have this on whatever landscaping you have designed, these are a plate off the ground. So we're going to take some of these 2x2s and fix that, and have that going around the outside. So I'll see you in a minute when I finish this. Okay, so we have added in our 2x2 plates all around the outside. Now this next part, I'm going to show you guys how to put a door in if you want a door. Not all round buildings need a door because sometimes they are part of a bigger MOC, such as a castle. So I will show you how to put a door in, but if that's not necessary, then you can just skip this part. The base of the door is going to be on a 4x6 plate. I've chosen a 4x6 plate because my doors are generally 4 studs wide. So we want it 6 studs wide so we can have a nice frame around it. Now for the attachment of this plate, you're going to want to put plates on either side of this long one here going all the way across, just so that it's flush, but the studs don't interact with each other. And then we're going to want to do the same on the lower level of these, because we will be putting in stairs leading up. Now for this same one lined up in the middle here, we're going to put a 1x2 plate. Now we're going to do a couple of stairs quickly with just some basic brown plates and tiles. Okay, standard stairs, and then I have a second one here as well. So here we go. We put these on top here. Basic staircase coming up, and then you just put your plate on top. And everything should just come down very nicely because of those tiles. Now, you can do shorter tiles in the middle here, such as a 1x4, and then create some sort of a banister on either side. Totally up to you. You can play around with it, and that's where you can get creative. In the meantime, we will be putting in our door. I've built a basic door for this tutorial. It's what I use in a lot of my mocks. Just a brown plate with brown tiles on top, a little door handle, and it's attached with a 1x4 brick with studs on the side. Nice and simple. And then I will normally put some plates down like that and just rest it on top. Whoops, I forgot my other plate. There we go. Now it'll rest on top more easily. Okay, so there's your door, and then we're just going to build the door frame up around the outside. Okay, now that we have the door, before we get to the door frame, I want to finish off this bottom section. So this is where you can kind of get a little bit creative in what you want to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to bring this level up to here so it's flush. So we're going to add in 1x2 plate pieces in dark bluish gray so that it matches. Whoops. And then once you have that finished, the outer part here is going to be just for decoration to cover up this big slab of gray. So this is where you can use a variety of different pieces. In this tutorial, I will be just using plain stud pieces in dark bluish gray, could you guess, and cheese slopes to give a nice basic but a little bit of detail to the front. This is going to be at the very bottom, so it won't be seen as much, but detail is very important. And the more detail that you can put in, the better your mock is going to look. So I'm just going to finish topping this off over here and filling at the bottom over here, and I'll be back in just a second. Okay guys, we have finished around the outside here, and I think it looks very nice. However, I have discovered a bit of a snag, and every time I build with Lego, even if I'm building the same thing, if I'm building a round tower and using the same techniques, I always come across a snag at some point during my build, and it's never the same, and you'll just have to kind of go with the flow and figure out a solution. And as you can see, my snag is right here. This plate is overlapping with this plate, and if you try to put, let me grab a block here. If you try to build up from here, this is not going to go down because the corner is going to get stuck every time. And even if you can kind of shimmy it in there, it's either going to be on an angle or warped, and that's going to affect your entire build going up. So my solution to this is putting a round plate, in this case another gray stud here, and that actually fits in very well because the corner's cut. So I'm going to take a second and put studs all the way around, and that'll actually just give it a little bit more detail, which is phenomenal. And then I'm also going to show you quickly building up the door frame, because this is so basic. And here, let me just move this over here. I'm just using these log type pieces and just to do something really basic up around the front. And if you want to add in a little bit more detail, let me put this down for a second. I am going to be adding in a basic lantern in the doorway. I think these new designs are absolutely phenomenal. I really, really like them. I have a small collection already from the Harry Potter sets. So I'm just going to attach that to a little clip piece and using a brick with stud on the side, since the stud is hollow, putting it in there. And there we go. That's good. Okay, got that piece. Where am I? There we are. I don't know what I'm building. Now I want to do, I'm gonna take those off because I want to add in a couple of these pieces just for something a little bit fancier. And then I'm gonna top it off with a simple arch piece. Now this is a very, very basic for the sake of this building. This is another thing where you can kind of build it to your desires. And yeah, I'm gonna finish around the outside here and then just cover up this back section, and I will be back in a minute. Okay guys, I finished building up the rest of the frame and putting these 1x1 round studs in the base because of my dilemma in this corner, and thankfully because I put these log pieces here, they have a little bit of a divot, which will make the rest of it not a problem. So now we're going to move into the intensive part of the tutorial. So we need to have a lot of these 1x1 bricks with stud on one side. Sometimes you can get away with them on the other side. I happen to have a lot of these because they were thankfully on the pick a brick wall one of the times I was at the Lego store, and I got a whole bunch. And then you are going to want these pieces, these round pieces, 1x1s. You can use studs if you have more of these that you can stack on top of each other. It's really up to you, but I find this is a lot quicker because obviously they are already stacked together. So what you want to start doing is alternating them on your castle. Oh, sorry, your tower. I'm thinking about castles right now, sorry. Now the reason you want to be using these pieces and not just using bricks all the way across, because I mean, you can add in a 2x2, but this way you can actually, let me pull this up a bit closer, you can actually rotate these just the slightest a bit because these are round, which is the same reason why it solved this problem here. There's a little bit, just a little bit of wiggle room, and that will cover up the gaps in between, making it a lot easier to make your mock look flush and round. So I'm going to go from here and I'm going to build this up so that it is level with this door, and I will see you in a second. Okay, so we have finally built up all of these bricks individually. It can take a little bit of time. However, once it's done, it looks really, really good. Now, if you don't have a lot of these cylinder pieces, or even if you think you might run out of these bricks with studs on one side. I've done more of a dilapidated style over here where I've changed out some colors, added in some of these masonry bricks, and you'll see eventually how this side looks to this side once it's done. Another option for you is to build up the back plane. So if you have this maybe resting up against a larger MOC such as a castle, or if you are only going to be viewing from the front, taking pictures, taking video, what have you from the front, it's not as noticeable just doing the 3 in the back. I have kind of lined it up with, let's see if I can get this, the 3 in the back with the 3 where the door is. So it's directly behind. And as you can see, it's very, very flimsy. So the next part we're going to work on, we're just going to do a quick roof for the door and the door frame, and then we're going to stabilize this. You only want to build up about 8 to 10 bricks high, because after that, then you really start risking breaking everything when you start pushing down on top. So we're just going to do a quick little roof here. Now this can be quite a bit more intricate if you so desire. Like I said, I'm just doing something very basic here for the sake of this tutorial. And we want to bring this up so that it's level with these here. Whoops, that one goes there. And that one goes there. Now we're actually going to be putting a second ring on top like this. So we want to do the same as we did on the bottom, and we want to put 1 stud here, or sorry, 2 studs here, and then you want to just cover these up with tile just so that it can sit on top. Now this is the tricky part because this is all warped and wonky, and we're going to attempt to fit this on and get all these studs locked in, so wish me luck. Okay friends, we have our first level complete. It's pretty sturdy, and we are about to start working on the second layer. We want to begin to cover up these harsh gray lines again. So what you want to do is put some extra plates down, making it bigger. Gotta make it worse before it gets better. I'm doing 2 thick. We're gonna go all the way around. And the reason we want it to be a little bit thicker is so that we can put these modified plate pieces on front. And then this, once again, will leave it open to be a little bit more unique and different every time you build it, because you can kind of decorate this with whatever you like. So in this case, how do I want to do this? I think I'm going to put this and this, and then I can do that. Okay, yeah, that looks good, so I'm just gonna decorate that. So then here it is up close, and it doesn't have to be anything super crazy by any means, or you can make it as elaborate as you like, and then you're just going to do the same design all the way around. So let me finish off this other side and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so now we have finished doing the fancy doodads at the sides here. We've got them all the way around, and then I've just done something a little bit fancier from the front. I've put a little lion head here with a couple of claw sort of pieces in the front here just to make it a little bit fancier above the door. And then I've also prepared this section here for our windows. So I'm just going to put a piece here. It's very much the same as doing the door, so I have not shown you that again. So I'm just going to do a quick window, and then I'm going to do up the second layer here, and I will see you in a minute. Okay, as you can see, we've gotten a lot of work done. We've done a basic built window, we've built the walls up on all the different sides here, the dilapidated side, the plain side, and then the smooth side. So I've already put on the top layer of hinge pieces, braced it in 2 directions, and then I have built up the sides just a little bit to do our same trick as before, which would be to add these modified plates. And then we shall do something fancier on the outside. We're gonna do the flooring, which is really quick, and then we're just about done this tower. So I will see you back here in a second. Alrighty everybody, we are almost done. This is really exciting. We have gotten the top section finished. I did some fancier doodads here. I added in a little balcony area. And if you can look at the top, I've got 2 different types of flooring. One just like a basic stud top flooring with rounded plate pieces. And then the other side here, we've got some reddish brown tiling to make it a more wooden type finish. Now you are going to have gaps no matter what because of the shape of it. However, you can try and cover it up with, say, any kind of barrels, minifigure accessories, but for the most part, if you're looking at it from the front, you don't really see that kind of stuff, so I try not to worry about it. It's looking pretty good, but we're just going to zoom this in here and we're going to finish up. So now the part that makes it look really good, you're going to want to get a bunch of tiles. If you're doing a more smooth, you want a smooth finish, you want all the same tiles. So in this case on this side I'm going to do the dark bluish gray, and then if you want to do more the dilapidated style, you can get a variety of plates, so you can see the studs. You can use foliage pieces to have some fun with it, and you're just going to want to start putting the tiles on these bricks with studs on the side. So now what you want to do is place your tile and have it cover up that gap in between there. And if you go along, eventually finishing up, here, I gotta move this one over a little bit. Just fiddle around with it. I mean, it's gonna look really good regardless, but if you want to be super picky about how it looks, you can just kind of adjust them. And then what you want to do is kind of finish this all the way around, and all the way down to the bottom. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to look really good when it's done. So I'll see you guys in a second. And here you can see the finished product. It's very pleasing to the eye on this side with the smooth tiles. And then if you whip it around to this side, you can see the dilapidated style, which is also very, very cool looking and is very helpful if you don't have a lot of parts in the same color. So this side you can see a variety of plates, tiles. I did stick with a grayscale and then just added a little bit of pop of color. You can also have some fun by adding in some foliage. I even have a little spider at the top here. So yeah, this is the final product. I have some space in the back where I saved on parts if that is necessary for you. And we'll spin it back around to the top here. And yeah, so if you have stuck with me this far, I know this is probably a really long video because it took me a long time to make it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see some of your own round tower soon. And thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. Until next time, keep on building.